Okay, so for question 6, right, most of you should be able to complete square without careless mistake. Okay, so after the complete square, right, obviously we always use complete square for turning point. Yeah, so that is one of the common thing that we use. So I will sidetrack a little bit first. So when you do the complete square, okay, if you want to find the turning point, you mentally set the x minus 6 equal to 0. Okay, this is sidetracking. I'm not answering the question yet. And then you will get the x coordinate for the turning point. The y coordinate is just whatever that happens after the square. So that will be the turning point. So whenever you do complete square, you must remember that it should lead you to tell you about the turning point. And sometimes they also ask you for the minimum value. So if let's say they ask you for the minimum value, right, please answer accordingly. So the minimum value of this is equal to minus 19. If they ask you for minimum value and you give the turning point, you are not answering the question, you will get 0 marks. You make sure you answer the question. Okay? So they can ask you for turning point, they can ask you for the minimum value. You answer accordingly, not like never answer the question like that. Okay, part B is the one that is very confusing. They ask you to explain why when x equal to 6, right, the quadratic has a minimum value. So what you should do is, right, you should say something like the quadratic is the complete square. So I want you to see the quadratic, right, as something like this. So we got something minus something. The quadratic is right now something minus something. Okay. So you will get the lowest. You remember the linear inequality that you play around with? So sometimes you play around with how do you get the lowest value? How can you get the lowest value, right? That is when this part is a 0. You can get the lowest value, that means very negative value, when this is a 0. You can get a very negative value when you got 0 minus 19. Okay, 0 minus 19 is the lowest you can go. So you will say something like, the lowest you can go, right, happen when this thing is equal to 0. And that's how you get the x equal to 6. So you see it like an inequality thing or something like, how can you make it the lowest? So subsequently, why, if you are thinking, why must it be a 0, right? So you can imagine, if let's say this is not a 0, you just think lah. If let's say this is a 1, 1 minus 19 will give you minus 18. Or maybe this is a 2, it gives you minus 16. But it will never get to the lowest. The lowest will be when you get a 0 minus 19. So that means you need to make the square a 0, and that's how you get the x equal to 6.